All right, we are live. Hey. I am back on YouTube for a little bit here. I know it's been a while since my last video, and that's not on purpose, but I've just been focusing so much on the Patreon community right now. So if you're wondering where am I at, I'm doing a lot of lessons and content for the Patreon community, which includes making tabs for a lot of the contemporary R&B songs that are coming out, as well as I do like a series called Weekly Practice, where I teach just like a weekly lesson, essentially, giving different exercises, giving out advice, even teaching some licks and solos and stuff like that. So that's definitely where the bulk of the content is going to be for the foreseeable future, but I still want to give content to my YouTube following as well. So more videos are coming, but I thought at least I could hop on, answer a few questions that I've been seeing in the comments, and try to be helpful that way. So what's going on? Let me check chat real quick. Gardy says hi. Hi, Gardy. How you doing? This is going to be a very brief live stream, by the way. This is just a test to get back into the flow of things. So let's go ahead and pop up in a few questions. I'll probably be in and out of here in like 15 minutes. So let's see. All right, first one I got is, what's the best way to practice chord transitions? All right, so this is the way I show all my private students, and this is the way that I personally practice it. And it's to whatever your chord progression is. Let's say it's a 4-chord progression. You would break everything down into groups of 2. So you would practice transitioning between the first chord and the second chord. Then you would work on the transition between the second chord and the third chord, and so on and so forth. And when I say working on those transitions, it's very boring sounding. But what you would do is, let's say the first chord is a, I don't know, D major 7. And your second chord is a C sharp minor 7. Literally what I would do is, if I didn't have a good grasp of that transition already, I would set a timer for about 3 minutes. I would throw on a metronome at a very like chill tempo, maybe something in like the 80 BPM to 100, we'll say. And I would just go back and forth between those 2 chords. So it'd just be back and forth, right? And it sounds super boring, but what ends up happening is, after you've been practicing that for 3 minutes straight or 5 minutes straight, whatever you can tolerate, it becomes more and more natural. You're basically just giving your body time to get the muscle memory of those transitions. And the reason why I break it up into smaller chunks is that it's very easy to get frustrated when you are trying to play a song, trying to go through all the chord changes, and maybe 1 or 2 changes keep tripping you up every time. So instead of being tripped up, take the time to break out and focus on those particular changes, and don't waste your energy and your stamina for practice on the whole thing, but just take that little change. And when you're going between those 2 chords and it starts to feel really fluid, now go back to the song, try and put it all together. So that's really the process behind it. Let's see. Gardy is saying chord movements and chord embellishments. Oh, you want me to show you guys more chord movements and chord embellishments? Of course, I can definitely do that. Let me explain, like, at least at a high level, what that is. It really is taking a chord that, for R&B's sake, it's going to be like a minor 7 or a major 7. And all we're doing is we're taking notes that belong to the major scale, the minor scale, and the pentatonic scale, and we're just adding it to the end of the chord. That's all the chord embellishment really is. We're just taking notes that are still in the key, and we're adding it to our chord shape. So like the minor 7 one that all the R&B guys use, right? Right? All that is coming from the pentatonic box. What I would call the box 4 minor pentatonic, it just happens to overlay perfectly with that chord shape. So all you're doing is playing the chord and then just taking notes. And we tend to use our pinky to do that, but really all those notes come from the major scale, minor scale, or the pentatonic scale. So if you know all your scale shapes, if you know your boxes, like your boxes 1 through 5 for pentatonic, if you know your natural minor scale, and if you know your major scale, all that stuff will come to help you when it's time to figure out embellishments for those chords. But I'll definitely do more focused lessons on that in the future. Patreon is the best place to find that. But I can also do a little bit here and there with the YouTube as well. Next questions. Sometimes my chords sound off even though I'm playing the right shapes. maybe I'm out of tune and don't realize it. So how do I know if my guitar is in tune is the question there. And the only way you'll know if your guitar is in tune is if you are really, really familiar with the sound of an in-tune guitar, which I know seems like a cop-out kind of answer, but you have to know what the sound of a guitar in tune sounds like for your ear to recognize when something's wrong. Case in point, I love this guitar. This is my PRS SE Zach Myers. All right, I love this guitar. I put a lot of work into it, made these pickups, added in, did some mods, whatever. This guitar has probably like the most issues with tuning out of the guitars I have, I want to say. And so I'm constantly tuning this thing every 20 minutes if I'm practicing with it. I just love playing this guitar, so I put up with it. But what I hear very often is the G string, the B string are out of tune. And the only way I know that is I've spent so much time with my other guitars that do stay in tune that I know immediately when, that chord doesn't sound right to my ear. Let me check it. And sure enough, it's that G string or that B string. So the only real way to know if your guitar is in tune and to have that intuitive, knowledge when it's not in tune is to just play it a lot. Make sure you're always in tune when you're playing as much as you can be, and then you'll just know when something is off. Next one is, I'm just getting started and not sure which type of guitar will be easier to learn on or more versatile in the long run. Should I start with acoustic or electric guitar? You should start with whatever kind of guitar inspired you to pick it up in the first place. So if you love listening to acoustic music, I can speak English, I promise. If you like listening to acoustic music, you should start with the acoustic guitar. If you like playing or listening to music that has like lots of effects and distortion and lots of soloing and stuff like that, then you should go for electric first. There's some advantages, like electric is easier to play initially because the string gauge is lighter. It's a little bit easier on your hands. But if you know that you just love acoustic music, then definitely go that route for sure. I've had the same strings on for months. How do I know when it's time to replace them? So however you feel about your strings, it's kind of a personal preference thing. Like if you're playing live a lot and you're really putting in a lot of practice time, your strings are going to wear out faster. But if you don't really play that often, or if you're not playing live, or you don't really feel like you're having any issues with tuning, is the main thing. I only change my strings when I have an issue with tuning. And so what you'll find is with old strings, you'll have the tuner going, and you'll see that it'll start going from too flat to too sharp when you're not even like turning the tuner. So when you see that your string won't solidly hold a note, that's a key that string is worn out and it's time to change it. But otherwise, I don't change my strings unless something pops, basically. Cool. All right, next question. What's the easiest way to memorize chords? I'm struggling to remember more than a few chords at a time and want to play full songs soon. The best way to memorize chords is to, kind of the same way I was talking about before, is like you just pick a few, maybe even start with a song. Start with a song that has a couple chords in it and just work on those chord shapes, just over and over. You're playing. You could do the pair thing where you go back and forth, working on the transitions. But honestly, it really is just muscle memory. It's just a lot of time spent playing those chord shapes. I find that whenever it's like a repetitive kind of practice, what I'll do is I'll sit down and watch TV while I do it. So I'll throw a movie on, or I'll watch the basketball game, for instance, and I'll just work through chord shapes. I'll play the same chord. I might use that chord shape and move it around. So like I'll take a major chord shape, for example, and I'll move that major chord shape around the circle of fourths. So I'll play a C major, F major, B flat major, E flat major, and just working on that shape, but also making sure I can play it all over the neck. And then since it's kind of like a pretty boring thing to do, watching TV kind of helps, where I can look down from time to time when I need to, and then just make sure I'm playing them in the right spots. So definitely try that. After just 10 minutes of practice, my fingertips start burning. Does that go away? Yes, that will go away. It sounds like you're kind of new to guitar, and initially you have to build up these calluses on your fingers, all right? And so you just keep playing over and over. Take breaks when you need to. If it gets really painful, take a break. But essentially, as you play for weeks and months, the sensitivity goes away. So the pain goes away. You build these kind of like hard little clumps of skin on your fingertips, and then you can just play for as long as you want to without any issues. how long should I practice each day? Some people say 10 minutes is enough, others say 2 hours. I'm just trying to figure out what's realistic. This is what I found personally. Like I don't practice every single day. I try to practice at least 4 or 5 times a week. And when I say practice, I mean like focused practice. This is the time when you're doing like the boring stuff where you're working on your scales or working on your arpeggios, whatever it is. Like you're focused and locked in to improving on a certain thing. I play my guitar every day, but I don't always practice. So it's good to make that distinction. And as far as how long you have to practice for is really up to what you have time for. If you have a job and it's just a hobby and you got other responsibilities and kids and all kinds of stuff, I would try to get in like 10 to 15 minutes a day if you could. For other people, that's just not realistic for them. So whatever you can do, I would say that if you were going to do a focused practice session, let's say you really wanted to hone in on some scale shapes for a few weeks, I would try to do about 30 minutes of focused practice per day if I could squeeze that time out. And half of that would be applying what I'm doing. So maybe you do 15 minutes of just learning a scale shape and moving it around the neck. And then the last 15 minutes, you try to play with that shape over a backing track or over one of your favorite songs, that kind of thing. So that way you're getting at least 15 minutes of focused practice, and then you're getting 15 minutes of application. Whatever you don't apply, you will forget. That's just what happens. I've forgotten so many things because I learned it because I thought I had to, but it just didn't come into play in my actual playing, the kind of playing I like to do. So whatever you're learning, whatever you're spending your precious time on, make sure it's being applied to something as well. Next question is, I just want to jam and have fun. Is theory essential or can I skip it for now? So basically, do you need to know music theory to learn guitar? I would say you don't. There's plenty of people who play music really well and could not tell you what a major 7 is or what a minor 7 is or what arpeggios are for. It really is just about like playing the kind of music that you love to play. So you don't need to know a bunch of theory. Matter of fact, I see a lot of my students that come to me who are trying to like learn on their own with like YouTube and stuff, and they'll come to me with all these little bits of information about music theory, but not really know how to use it, right? And so if you're learning a bunch of stuff and you're not applying it or you're not learning how to apply it, it doesn't serve you any good. So no, you don't need music theory to play guitar, but I don't think you should abandon that. Music theory will enable you to play better if you're applying what you're learning. I get lost trying to match my strumming with the beat, especially if the rhythm is fast or syncopated. How do I strum in time with a song? This is where YouTube is like your best friend. So we have that feature now where you can reduce the playback speed. And I think it's getting a little bit better. Before it used to like change the pitch of the song if you drop the speed too low. But I see like around 0.8 speed, 0.75 speed, it's not so bad. So drop that speed down, basically. Pull out the song you're trying to learn or trying to play along with, drop the speed down to like 0.8, and try and work on it slowly. Everything about guitar, if you want to play fast, you have to have the muscle memory. So slow it down first, get those chord changes locked in, and then gradually speed up to the full tempo. All right, and when I say gradually, I mean it might take you a month to learn a song. That's okay. Nobody ever tells you how long it should take you to learn a song. But if you're working on a song consistently, a little bit each day, there shouldn't be any song that you put your mind to that you can't learn within a month, provided that it's at your playing level. All right. So just give that a try. What's the best way to learn bar chords? I think I did a video on this way back when the channel was newer. For bar chords, basically take turns going bar first and then put your fingers where they need to go. So this is like a G major chord. Go ahead and bar first, then get your other fingers in there. Then lift off. Next, put your other fingers down first and then bar. Practice that. So if it's a matter of getting your fingers where they need to be, you'll end up having to make little adjustments. Maybe you have to like change the angle of your bar. You always want to keep some curl in these fingers here. Make sure that they're not buckling like this. You want to make sure that they all have that C-shaped curve to them. But you would just practice different ways and different orders of getting that bar and those supporting fingers in there. Then another tip is that you can use your picking hand, or you can use the elbow of your picking hand to kind of tuck the body of the guitar, pull it in towards your rib cage. All right, so literally you're pulling this, the neck of the guitar is going away from you. All right, and that's going to help you get a little bit more pressure on that bar. Now you don't want to pull too hard because it can like pull your notes out of tune, but it's just a little bit of extra support that you're getting from tucking in that guitar closer to your body. And you'll see that you don't even actually have to use your thumb. Playing a minor chord now. My thumb is just free floating back here. My thumb isn't actually involved. So it's a tendency, like when we're new, to try to squeeze the life out of the neck of the guitar by clamping down our thumb and our index finger. But you don't actually need that. You can play a bar chord without it. If I can, oh, that's not a chord. You can see my thumb wiggling back there. So using those techniques, putting the bar down, fingers down, or putting fingers down and then bar, and then tucking the body of the guitar in, letting the neck push out. It's like a lever action kind of thing. You're like pushing the neck of the guitar into your bar finger more firmly, and that should help you get those bar chords out. All right, and that's about all I got time for. If you guys popped in, thank you for joining me. Definitely gonna check chat one more time. Let's see, Sento says, that's a beautiful PRS. Thank you, I appreciate it. I love this guitar. PRS SE Zach Myers. It's a beautiful guitar, it feels good in the hand, just won't stay in tune. So I'm working on that. But yeah, thank you guys for joining me. Live streams will be happening in the future. I don't have a schedule for you just yet, but what I plan on doing is doing the live streams when I can, and then I'll probably just cut out some of the extra time or whatever and just kind of make it condensed, and I'll post that on YouTube so you guys can watch that later if you couldn't catch it live. But otherwise, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day or night, wherever you're watching from, and I'll see you next time.